Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, broadcasting from Oneonta Slough, one of the main channels in the Tijuana Estuary, out here in the saltmarsh off of Seacoast Drive. Thought I'd open a couple minutes early to give you a nice shot of the scenery and also to maybe get some feedback on how the sound and the connectivity is. We're testing the water, so to speak, here with today's broadcast. We've never been out here before. We are kind of directly under the path of the helicopters. We're hoping that this microphone will kind of pick up my voice and not the helicopters, as well as the connectivity is a-okay. So if we get any feedback on how the sound, is there wind noise, is there helicopter noise, anything that's very loud and distracting. Hopefully you all will be able to hear me today. Awesome. Thanks, Bob, for that. All right. Well, with that, just take another few seconds to look at the shot here of what we call Oneonta Slough, one of the main tidal channels. Fairly close to the visitor center. Large plane going over. Right off of Seacoast Drive, so I'll just show you real quick. There's Seacoast Drive, and I'm off trail in the salt marsh, and I'll show you guys there, and then looking north, the visitor center in the distance. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Hi. Hello from Imperial Beach. And hello, Virginia, and perfect sound. Awesome, really glad to hear. You know, you never know until you try something out live. So here I am again at the Oneonta Slough, main channel here at the Tijuana Estuary, located in Imperial Beach, for those of you who haven't been here before, on kind of a mid-tide, and you can see there's some folks with me in the background, all of us wearing orange vests, the research crew here, as we talk about today's subject. Are you a sucker for the Longjaw Mudsucker? Because we sure are. You've got some mudsucker fans right here, the three of us. And hopefully we'll get a glimpse today. So we're out here on our monthly or bi-monthly minnow trapping. So, and we're hoping to catch a live specimen for you. But as always with animals, we have photos to show you. So let me introduce today's subject, the Longjaw Mudsucker, Galictes mirabilis. Galictes mirabilis. This is a type of goby, the Gobiidae family. Galictes, meaning literally gills fish. Ichthys relating to fish, and Gill was Theodore Gill, an ichthyologist. And then mirabilis, which means miraculous in Latin. And why is this fish so miraculous? So Galictes mirabilis, or the Longjaw Mudsucker, named also a common name for its long jaw, which might be really tough to see. So let me go back to Gobiidae, the family it belongs to, and show you just a few other species in that family. Real quick. So these are bottom-dwelling, largemouth, big-lipped fish, the Gobiidae family. Okay, not fairly large, and there you see the Longjaw Mudsucker, one we're hoping to see today, kind of falling in line there with the other gobies here. And there's more. Gobiidae, over I think 300 or 450 species in this family. Quite a few. Okay. But today, the Longjaw Mudsucker. You can see the fish. It's kind of olive color, kind of brownish olive. Some faint striping. Okay. Roughly 21 centimeters or so as a full-grown adult. Okay, that upper jaw. Hard to tell here. It's the upper jaw that's a bit longer than other fish. Okay, see those big eye, flat forehead, eyes sitting almost on the top there. And this is a bottom-dwelling fish. You see those pectoral fins, which can actually be, I think they're shaped slightly rounded to help it sit on the bottom. And then those dorsal fins, 2 dorsal fins, spiny rays holding up this dorsal fins. The first dorsal fin smaller than the back dorsal fin. Okay, and then you can see these rounded pelvic fin there. This classic mudsucker. Okay, sitting on the bottom, dwelling on the bottom. Now, why is it so miraculous? Why is it so miraculous? Well, this is a fish that's able to live out of water for several days. Several days, okay, as long as it's kept moist. It's got a chamber in its throat that it gulps air into if it gets trapped in mud. But really, this is a fish that when the tide goes out, and this is a tidal channel. We are seeing it kind of at I think a mid to low tide. We'll ask Monica and Robin. Okay? But this is a fish that when the tide goes out, Longjaw Mudsucker doesn't have to go with the flow. It hangs out. It goes into channels. It can go into burrows and stay moist and hang out, gulping air if needed, okay, until the next tide comes in. Really incredible, right? Miraculous, living without water. They even have the ability, I think, to move on land to get to water. Okay? We see this fish in our fish traps, which we'll look at in a minute. We'll go in and we'll see what the girls are doing in a few minutes. They're going to be pulling out the trap, I believe, and we'll hopefully see if they got one. This is where we see them. We also see them in our fish seines, which is a much more intensive type of fish monitoring we do. But today we're out here with the minnow traps, and we'll learn a little bit about that later. So again, these are fish that don't have to go with the flow. They can go into the channels during low tide and hang out, and relatively common, live about a couple of years. I think it's the male that builds the burrow, and where the female lays the eggs and will guard the burrow. And the female laying 8 to 27,000 eggs. Okay, common fish, not endangered, not a sensitive species. Does really well. Lives on the bottom, eats almost anything. Isopods, what is it? Amphipods, small fish, even pretty much anything on the bottom. Okay, and you see it's really well camouflaged. So during that low tide, when it's more vulnerable to fish-eating birds, okay, it's more camouflaged. So there we are, the Longjaw Mudsucker. Now, what I've read about them is that they're excellent bait fish as well. So I didn't know this. They're found sometimes in freshwater environments. They can't reproduce in freshwater, but because they can live out of water for so long, they make great bait fish because they can travel and they can just get packed in some bait container and still survive. Have you seen a Longjaw Mudsucker? Have you seen bottom-dwelling goby fish? And by the way, I apologize, I didn't mention this, but as our regular audience knows, feel free to ask questions, feel free to comment on anything related to today's topic. So we're going to go over in just a minute and see how the girls are doing with the minnow trap, and we'll cross our fingers, okay? Cross our fingers that we get a Longjaw Mudsucker. What do you guys think? All right, let's see. We'll see how you guys ready to pull up your trap?
Yep.
All right, so looks like they're ready to pull up their traps, so let me bring us over there. So here they are pulling out. Now these fish traps, these what we call minnow traps, which are very sort of common. There you see it there. Robin's swinging it around. You may have seen these before. Really easy method for surveying fish because it doesn't require a lot of labor. These are deployed through kind of a tide, through a whole 24-hour tide cycle. Okay, and they're starting to open up the trap. Let's look. And then, so these were deployed yesterday, and then they're checked about 24 hours later. And oh, what do we have today? Oh! Little shore crabs. So, few crabs, which are fairly common, yes? Yeah, so they're crabs get into the traps, and you see how these traps are, there's a hole at one end. They bait the fish or whatever, whatever they're surveying. We're not looking for anything necessarily in particular. Just trying to find out what's present. Cat food in the trap. The crab is there. Let's see. Well, too bad we're not featuring crabs today. But it's common. It's very common to find one of the Longjaw Mudsuckers in these traps, along with some other species. What other species are found in here?
We have the long-tailed goby that we can find sometimes.
The long-tailed gobies. I don't know if you guys can. I have the microphone, so I'm just going to repeat what Monica says. Long-tailed goby.
Which is from warmer waters.
Yeah, which is found in warmer waters. So this kind of minnow trapping will help us identify any new species that aren't typically found in an area like this. Okay. And they're expanding their range. So that's something we've been noticing. We've been doing this minnow trapping in this kind of regularly for about 7 years or so, but on and off here at the Tijuana Estuary for 30 years.
There's someone eating crabs.
Okay. And there we have our yellow-crowned night heron on the edge of the bank. Now, Monica, what tide is this about today? Like, what level are we at?
0.23 feet.
0.23 feet right now. Wow. So is that kind of lowish? Lowish. Okay. So we're pulling it out right about low tide, so that they're whatever we do catch isn't in here for very long. Isn't in the trap for very long. But there is an escape if they can figure it out. The way in is the way out in those minnow traps. However, not all of them can figure that out. So maybe those of you who have some fishing experience may have seen those before. Well, no Longjaw Mudsuckers today, but that's okay. So let's get back here. We do have our picture, Longjaw Mudsucker. This was actually a photo taken by Monica herself during a fish survey where it's in a beautiful viewer there with water, so we can see the full fins kind of opened up, and also the ruler there, so we can note the size. So as we saw in those drawings, kind of middle of the road, a lot of gobies that we have here are much smaller, some smaller species, but then that longtail was much longer, which much bigger goby in the goby day. But there we go, Galictes miraculous. Galictes miraculous, Longjaw Mudsucker. Sorry, we hoped we could find it, but anyway, it's a beautiful day out here at the Tijuana Estuary. I hope everyone is having a wonderful lunchtime. Oh, let's see, do they typically run about 6 to 10 inches? Yeah, 21 centimeters. whatever that equates to. 21 centimeters is sort of the average, right? And this is an adult here, I believe, but the juveniles look very similar, although maybe a little more striped pattern. But you can see very well camouflaged fish living on the bottom. They're and also they tend to be pretty slimy as well. So unfortunately, we didn't get to see the slipperiness when they're handled to put back into the water, but they are pretty slippery. Now, any other last minute questions before we sign off today? From here in the marsh, it seemed like pretty successful as far as the technical aspects. Spines in the pectoral fins. I don't believe so. Definitely in the dorsal and in the pelvic, but I don't know about in the pectoral. Good question. I do see it looks like it from this photo. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for doing the math there. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And if you have questions or comments, you can type them in. We, of course, in the comment section, if for anyone watching later, we'll go back and answer them for you. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.